Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, thank you for joining us today. A special welcome to a fellow Kansan from God's country out there and near Parsons. I grew up.
Objectively spoken, sir.
Yeah, I understand. Sure, very good. We appreciate that. And certainly as a Jayhawk, you've won a lot of Jayhawks where you've won a lot of respect on this side of the table. So you're doing well so far. Thank you both for coming. Thanks for your work and service. As we debate about what our priorities are as a country, as we debate our priorities within the FCC budget, certainly our job is to help support those programs and things that have the greatest amount of support and we think are consistent with our values as a country. And I know one of the sort of more controversial issues that's come up in recent months is related to the multi-market study of critical information needs. And I thought for the benefit of the committee, you might give us a little bit of background on how we got to this point. And certainly we have limited agenda in terms of what the FCC can accomplish each year. Dollars are scarce. And so clearly this got to be a top agenda item. And I guess, for the chairman, I guess ask how we got to this point, what the methodology was, what the theory was, what you're aiming at, why was it eliminated? And you both might speak to the thoughts on that. Was this a division on the FCC? And then going forward, what does the future look like in terms of the objectives that were originally attempted to be achieved? Are those objectives going to be achieved in a different way? And how do we ensure, I think what we all want on either side of the aisle is protection of free speech and to ensure that our federal government isn't in a position where they may be putting pressure on our media entities to portray the news in a certain way, which we certainly would hope would not be the aim or goal of our agencies.
And we identify entirely with.
Great.
So the Act requires us to do occasional studies on the critical information needs of various segments of the economy. It's something that commissions have done, whether they're Republicans or Democrats sitting at the head of it. When I came in, I discovered that there had been a decision made to move ahead on one of these, and that there had been some concerns raised about some of the specific questions that seem to tend towards asking for news judgments. And I raised questions about that. We subsequently heard from the Energy and Commerce Committee questions about it. And I asked that those questions be removed from the survey. Subsequent to that, Commissioner Pai wrote an op-ed piece in the Wall Street Journal, and this became a cause célèbre, despite the fact that the questions were out. And I took the whole thing and shut it down, the whole survey. I mean, I think it really became, the dog that didn't bark, because A, the questions were taken out, and then B, it was shut down. The reason they were taken out is that we have a strong, and I can assure you, I have a strong sense of the appropriate role of the federal government in newsrooms, period. Yeah, that's period. That's
okay. Period, end of answer, or period, end of sentence. No, Congressman, my position is pretty simple. The government does not belong in the newsrooms of America. Government-funded researchers don't belong in the newsrooms of America, asking questions such as, what is your news philosophy? Have you ever been asked to cover a certain story but been told by management that you shouldn't do so? Not only are those questions inappropriate as a matter of constitutional principles, they're inappropriate and completely irrelevant to our duty under Section 257 to report on barriers that entrepreneurs and small businesses face. There's no relation whatsoever. Moreover, if the goal, as stated by some who supported the study, is to increase minority participation in the broadcast business, I'm chock full of ideas. I was the first one to come out over a year and a half ago and support increased foreign investment in the broadcast business. I've been out front talking about the need for a media incubator to allow women and minorities and others the opportunity to enter this business. I've been up front and saying, and I championed, a revitalization of our AM radio rules. Historically, one part of the communications industry where minorities have disproportionately been represented in terms of ownership. There are a lot of ways to actually take action on this issue without devoting up to $1 million to a public health researcher that apparently has no expertise whatsoever in FCC-related issues. And so I applaud the chairman for stopping the study. I look forward to working with him and my other colleagues to focus on what really matters, the value underlying Section 257, which is to get new entrants into this business.
Well, I appreciate both of your answers, and I think if this was in the study at one point, certainly there was a lack of acknowledgement that it was a problem at the start, and I applaud Chairman and Commissioner for both of your efforts to move us forward. Obviously, we have to continue to be vigilant in this regard, because if it was thought of as a good idea at one point, it doesn't mean that someone's not going to say, well, let's just ask it in a different way or try to get to this in a different manner. And so I think we have to continue to be vigilant, and I appreciate both of your efforts to ensure the FCC's role is one that respects the right of free speech in the country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Herrera Butler.